Hello guys, I welcome you to my YouTube channel. I'm still your girl Elizabeth. Today I'll be showing you how to make a straight gown. It's very easy and simple to make. So now guys, let's get started. So guys, this is the fabric we are using. It's a long straight gown with a half body. There's an half length here at the waist part. So guys, you fold your fabric into two to get the lower part. Fold it into two like this. Then to know the amount of fabric that will be enough for you to cut out the down part, you fold your fabric into two. Then you pick the biggest measurement from the measurements you are using, which mine is the hip measurement, because the hip is bigger than the bust measurement, and my hip here is 43. So you divide your 43 inches by 4, which will give us 10 3/4. Then you add your sewing allowance. This one I'll be adding 2 inches sewing allowance, then 10 and 3/4 inches plus 2. That gives us 12 3/4. Let's approximate it to 13 inches. So the fabric unfold now will be 13 inches. It will be enough for me to work with. Okay guys, after getting the amount of fabric that will be enough for you to work with, the next thing is for you to measure, to start inserting your measurements on your fabric. The first thing we are going to do now is to get our waist measurement. The first thing to do now is to get the full length measurement. My full length here is 59 minus my half length measurement. My half length is 16 and my full length is 59. Then I'll bring out my 16 inches forward at the upper part here. This is my 16 inches. Then I'll get my 59 inches. Wow. So I'm using the whole of this fabric, the length of this fabric for the down part. So after getting your full length measurement, the next thing is for you to get your waist measurement. My waist here is 37. Is it? No, 37. Then 37 divided by 4, that will give us 9.25. That's 9 1/4. So here is it. This will be my waist part. Measure your 9 1/4. You add 1 inch for that allowance. Remember that there's always a dart at the waist line here to under bust. There's a dart there. So you'll be adding the 1 inch for that allowance, then your 2 inches for seam allowance. So the total of allowances we are adding to the waist part here is 3 inches. So we've gotten our waist measurement. The next thing now is for us to get our hip line measurement. My hip line here is 9 inches. So I'm going to come down from the waist line. I'm going to come down by 9.5. That's 9 1/2 because of the joining allowance. So I'm going to come down by 9.5 here for my waist line. For my hip line rather. Sorry. So then you can insert your hip measurement on your hip line. My hip here is 43. 43 divided by 4, that gives us 10 3/4. So I'm going to be inserting my 10 3/4 here. Then I'll be adding 2-inch seam allowance to this, because our darts will not be extending to the hip line. So I will not be needing 3 inches allowance for my hip. Instead, I'll be using 2 inches allowance. Okay, so after that, from your hip line you measure 9 inches downward because it's a fitted straight gown. It's a fitted straight gown. So for you to get that perfect shape, you're going to come down by 9 inches from your hip line measurement. So yeah, I'm coming down by 9 inches for my hip line from my hip line measurement. That'll be below my hip line measurement. So whatever you get here on your waist, on your hip line, on your hip measurements, here we are having 10.75. Then we are going to reduce it by 1 inch rather. We're going to reduce it by 1 inch, which we'll be having 9.75 inches for below the hip measurements. Then you add your 2 inches seam allowance. So after here now, it now depends on how fitted you want the down part of your gown to be. If you want it to be fitted to be smart on you, remember the slits will be high at the back. But if you just want it to be free so that you can be able to so if you want it to be fitted, it can still come down by 6 inches again. But if you don't want it to be too fitted, it's okay like this. So if you want it to be fitted, you come down by 6 inches from below the hip line measurement by 6 inches. Then whatever measurements you have on below the hip line, on below the hip line, you are going to deduct it by half inch. Remember, we dot below the hip by 1 inch. The measurements deduct it by 1 inch. So below the hip line again, you are going to reduce it by half inch. I hope you guys are getting what I'm saying. We reduce what we have here as our measurement on the hip line. We reduce it by 1 inch on below the hip line. So if you want it to be fitted gown, you're going to come down by 6 again from this point. This is the first one we reduce by 1. You're going to come down by 6 again. So whatever measurements you have on below the hip line measurement, you are going to reduce it by half inch here, where you measure the 6 inches downward. You're going to reduce it by half inches. So here we are having 9.75. So here we'll be having 9.25, 9.25. Then you add your seam allowance. So that's it. So the next thing is for you to connect the lines together from the waist to your hip, from your hip to below your hip, then below your hip, and how you understand it. I hope you are following what I'm doing. So you connect the lines together. So once you are done connecting the lines together, before you cut it out, do cross-check your measurements if they are right or not before cutting it out. But if you are sure that the measurements are quite okay, then you can cut it out. So I'll be cutting out the down part for the gown. So guys, after cutting it out, this is what I have. You can see it. You can see this is my waistline. This is my hip line. Hope you guys are seeing it better. This is below my hip line where with the dots 1 inch. Then this is the 6 inches after below the hip line where you're going to reduce it by half inches. Whatever measurements you have here, you're going to reduce it by half inches here. Then this is down parts. So after cutting out the front pattern, the next one we are going to cut now is the back pattern. This one is very easy. Just fold your fabric into two, then you add your zipper and your slit allowance. Fold it into two like this. After folding it for the back pattern, after folding it, then you add your front pattern. You place it on it like this. Let me adjust the camera so you can see. Just place it on it like this. And don't forget to add your zipper and your slit allowance because it's a straight gown, so that you'll be able to work. Add the slits. 2 inches is okay, I think, for the slit and the zipper allowance. And make sure your fabric are properly laid. Adjust it. Okay. Then you cut it out. That's everything for the back pattern. So you use your front pattern to trace it out. So after cutting out the back pattern, then you slit it out. The allowance this you leave for the zipper and the slit, then you cut it out. Open it up rather like this. So guys, that's everything for the down part of the straight gown. Now we'll be moving to the upper part of the gown. Stay and enjoy.